and it was like going back to that, but just much more advanced and all the same. It was pretty much the same roster, and they done things so well on that game. Like you went back and you played through the Attitude Era, beginning to end with different wrestlers. But it was really well done. The fact that they used all these different music. Like if you was Triple H, you had like 4 different themes that he went through, loads of different attires that he changed as he went and got bigger. And I really enjoyed that, because I think it's good for people that don't necessarily know the Attitude Era that well. It was a really good way of playing the game and understanding the history of what went on there. And I thought that was really good. Matt, is there any games that wrestling games for you that stick out that could be a good shout here?
If you just love crazy, insane action, and you was a fan of all the hardcore stuff that used to go on back in the sort of Ruthless Aggression era / Attitude Era, then it's got to be SmackDown. Here Comes the Pain. If you own a PlayStation 2, dust that thing off. Get that game. I'm sure it's relatively cheap on some eBay or something like that now, and you can have hours of fun with that. And it's just crazy action non-stop.
Yeah, it is. For all that, so there you go. A few suggestions there. Okay, next question from new one here. Handsome Stan. Okay, he says, "Fucking awesome series on Diesel, guys. Have a few questions for you both. One, why did they have Diesel wrestle against giants each time, like Sid, Bam Bam, Mabel, etc., when it was flawed?" So let's just do that one before we get to the second one. Well, I think we spoke about that briefly, Matt, when we covered Diesel, just the amount of, especially the year he had the title, and of course Mabel won the King of the Ring. He had a couple of matches with Sid that were just awful, including when Vince McMahon just literally you could hear him at the end of a pay-per-view just. He was doing that. What a great show! What an In Your House, and then the whole thing cut off. That was horrible. Get rid of it. That's what he thought of it. Yes, I feel like it probably was flawed. The only thing I can think of, and it goes back to it reminds me of when we were talking about Braun earlier in the podcast, is the fact that if you put Diesel as a babyface up against somebody smaller, it's very hard for them to be liked by the crowd, to have that sort of underdog babyface feel. And I'm guessing they just always kind of went along those lines. But yeah, you're right, those matches were flawed, they weren't great, and they were probably a big hindrance on him. Matt, is there any other sort of reasoning they went with those big guys with Diesel when we covered it?
I think it was just what they had at the time, wasn't it, really? I mean, there's only so many times you can fight people like Shawn Michaels and that before he gets a bit repetitive. And it's always going to be that way with WWE. They're always looking for the bigger guys. That's why we still get... I mean, I'm a big fan of Brock and Braun, obviously, but that's why we get in those matches still today. We're still getting Brock versus Braun, Brock versus Joe, and there was Brock versus Triple H. You need... When you're working with such a big guy at the top, you need to put other big guys against them to make it look like they're having a struggle. Otherwise, if you keep pitting them against littler guys, it looks like the matches would be too easy on paper. Yeah, no,
you're right. Part of that. Next part of Handsome Stan's question here is, when Nash returned to WWE in 2002 after the NWO collapsed, when he returned again, why didn't WWE give him back the Diesel name? I'm not really too sure. I think people just assumed it was just Kevin Nash. I mean, the thing is with the Diesel, it wasn't a character. It wasn't like, say, Scott Hall and Razor Ramon. They were kind of very different. But I think with Diesel, Nash, they're sort of the same person to me now, Matt. I mean, I didn't really think Diesel was an out different character. So I know at the time you're talking about, I remember he got injured and I think he come back in 2003 again, and he had a feud with Triple H, but he was just Kevin Nash, but he had that kind of old sort of different type of music, and maybe people thought it was going to be. I know they used to call him like Big Daddy. They made lots of references to those kind of things, but yeah, I think I don't know if there would have been much value on doing that. To be quite honest with you, obviously Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but he did. When he come out of the Royal Rumble recently and he got that big pop, I think he come out in quite a Diesel type attire that night, didn't he?
Yeah, that's true.
Very recently.
They revisited that for nostalgia,
Yeah. But of course, Kevin Nash, when he went in for the part of the film The Punisher and he had that haircut, Matt, I mean, yeah, there was no more Diesel for me after that.
No.
That bright bleached blonde hair, yeah. Yeah, very funny. Yeah, so thank you for your question there, Stan, and I'm glad you enjoyed the series. Got another question now from the Diesel series as well, Matt. This is from Joel in Edmonton. What, in your opinion, was a better career? Was it Diesel in your WWE run that you covered, or the WCW run for 3 years when he united the NWO? And also had things like beating Bill Goldberg for being the only guy. So that's an interesting point, Matt. What do you think was the first run in WWF, or was the whole WCW, the NWO, and all the things that followed from there a bigger, better stint for Kevin Nash's career? What one do you look at as being the most successful, Matt?
I say it's a tough one, but I mean, I would have to say it was his run in WCW, because when he went over there, he was breaking new ground.
Yeah.
And he was sort of WCW's focal point. They made the show about him and about Scott Hall, and everything they were doing there was new and exciting, and it got people switching over. There's no denying that. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash got WWF fans to switch the channel, and that is a measure of success. So I would say, just based on that, that was where him leaving his mark in the business. And although it got a little bit carried away a few years later and watered down, those first couple of years, that was the peak of his career.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think I agree with that 100%, because I just think the NWO thing, that is such a massive part in the wrestling history. The NWO, it kind of spurred on so many different things, including like DX in a way. Lots of things branched out from it and breaking that sort of third wall, I guess, and making it look like there was now that's what you call a real invasion, by the way, when they did it like that. That's a proper one, not this knocked off one we're getting at Survivor Series, but that was the real deal. And the way they done it, as if it was the WWF guys coming in to sort of destroy WCW, it was perfect. And the fact it was their real names, and they weren't supposed to be there, and the way they did it all was fantastic. And to pick Hulk Hogan as the lead guy, the guy that had been the babyface for all those years, it was so beautifully, perfectly done. All that, I don't know you'll ever replicate anything as good as that when all those things come together. But it was fantastic, really well done, and one of those moments that you're always going to look back on fondly, just how well it was all presented. So. Yeah, although Diesel, he's running WWF, it wasn't terrible by any means. He had a better career than most, but I feel like he will be remembered and regarded more in his WCW run with the NWO. And yeah, like you say, he was the man that beat Bill Goldberg's streak. Very politics, I'm sure, was involved in that, but nonetheless, his name's there as the guy that did it. So I suppose there's got to be something right there. Okay, Matt. I want to, before we stretch on to any more questions, Matt, I feel it's worth bringing up now. Impact Wrestling, Matt. Got a lot of emails about this because people. Funny enough, people still are watching it at least. But some sort of not great news again. I know that when we finished off our last regular flood of shows. We pretty much spoke about TNA Impact Wrestling sort of every week, whether they were going to be surviving. You wouldn't know, and it looks like we're back to square one again, Matt. Like things again are going horribly wrong. More recent, I mean, God, if you went off the whole year, we'd be here all night. But let's just start from the more recent stuff. First of all, the whole Global Force Wrestling, that's gone up the chute. They couldn't even get the name sorted out. There was a legal problem. They didn't even file it in properly. So that was a joke. So that didn't get done. And then Jeff Jarrett's gone. Then we're hearing that Karen's gone as well. So there's none of them around now. And Anthem have basically taken this over. I mean, I think they must be looking at this like, what a nightmare investment all this is. What a headache this is. And of course, Vince McMahon, he's not going to buy this out. Why is he going to bother buying it out? He can just wait and pick it up for like $1, like he done WCW, and just have the archives, because there's no value in anything that Impact Wrestling have. They have no contracts on any of the guys, not other than a couple, maybe 3 or 4. So there's no value there. There's nothing in anyway. All they've got is videos, because most of their guys, they just jump ship anyway. So yeah, so that's happened, and then of course they're now losing more stars. They shot up to Bound to Glory. They done on a whole weekend to make it cheaper, so they didn't have to sort of fly guys in every week. They shot 5 episodes over one weekend, so that's like the same audience the entire weekend pretty much. And now what they found out is most of those guys that shot that weekend couldn't make Bound for Glory for contract reason or payment issues. And then on top of that, you hear even old Rockstar Spud's gone. I mean, crikey, you know, loyal people are leaving. I mean, to be honest, we knew AJ Styles was bloody loyal. And to be quite honest with you, as soon as I see him go, it was always downhill from there, because AJ Styles was Impact Wrestling and TNA for such a long time that if you see him getting frustrated with it, then what chance has anyone got? Matt, what's your take on the latest from Impact Wrestling? And as a fan, how on earth can you get involved with this now? Because it seems like it seems like that sort of, you know, the story of the sort of girlfriends you don't want, because they're going to keep doing it and they won't change their ways. That's how I feel the relationship is with me and this product. It's like, why am I going to bother? Like, every time I'm not involved as much, I don't want to invest as much, because I'm going to be let down again. I'm going to be heartbroken at the thought of, again, another takeover, more guys leaving, a completely different direction, etc., etc. Of course, this time last year, at least they had something like the broken mat thing going on. But is there? I mean, what is about Impact Wrestling at the moment, Matt? Is there anything on the horizon that you see as a fan for this company?
No, I mean, it's incredible how they just have that ability to keep on going. When I think about what WCW was in its final days, you know, TNA wishes it could have that kind of day.
Yeah.
It can't live up to those kind of heights. The problem, you know, is that, you know, every year, you know, they said they just keep losing more and more talent. And I watched it actually today. I watched one of the shows, and what I was seeing was, you know, the way that they're sort of keeping going now is they showed a show, but it was an amalgamation of about 4 different events. You know, one was in Japan, one was in America, one was in Mexico, and I think the 4th one was in Mexico. So they sent all their wrestlers around the world doing these different things. And I get that's where Global Force gets his name, you know, that it's trying to be a global thing. But, you know, without those other talents from around the world, I'm not sure their company could really stay afloat. And I do believe it's where you said before, like when AJ Styles left, that was the turning point. I mean, I know he says, you know, that SmackDown is the house that AJ Styles built, but you know, that phrase was coined in TNA. He said TNA was the house that AJ Styles built, and you know, that house is now just like a pile of rubble. Yeah,
it's House of Horrors, quite frankly, in that case. Yeah, it's just terrible, absolutely awful stuff from them. And again, just really bad management, bad bookings and everything else. And, I am sick to death of hearing, it's a new generation, it's a new beginning. I can't take